All right, welcome to the next math lesson. Big exciting news today. We are going to start subtraction today. Subtraction is the next big concept that you guys are going to be wrapping your head around. We're going to stick with it for a little while. It's really close cousins with the addition thing that we've been doing. So it's real close to addition. It's just the opposite of addition. For this particular one, you are going to need a page out of your book. You're going to need page 111. Down here, it's got a little pink hammer on it. It says subtraction representing situations take apart, and you are going to need a pencil as well. So for this first part of the story, or first part of the lesson, we're going to read a new book. It's called These and Those. And then we're going to talk about it a little bit. We're going to talk about some stuff with some cubes. We've got a bunch of fun stuff going on. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and read our story, These and Those, a book about subtraction taking apart. These and Those, written by James Burnett and Beth Lewis, illustrated by Heather Smith. Seven wild birds swimming in a pond. 2 are ducks. How many are swans? Can you figure out how many are swans? Four small animals sitting on a log. 2 are lizards. How many are frogs? Five shiny robots standing in the store. 1 on the shelf. How many on the floor? Eight handy tools in the workshop. 3 are hammers. How many are not? So this one's asking you a little question, since how many are not hammers? Six pretty kites flying in the air. 3 are circles. How many are squares? Five teddy bears sitting in a row. 3 have hats. How many have bows? What is going on with those trees? 9 apple trees growing by the wall. 6 are short. How many are tall? What is going on with this guy? He's got a lot of attitude for a tree. 3 old planes moving in the sky. 1 is low. How many are high? The end, These and Those. This is a great book because it's got a lot of questions for you. It asks a lot of things. It asks you to paint some pictures in your brain and listen to all the fun words that are in it. Subtraction is, it's kind of the, like I said, it's a cousin of addition. So it's kind of like you have to listen to the story or the question that's being asked. You have to paint the picture of it in your brain, and then you can try to figure out what's happening with it. So when I say it's the opposite of addition, it's kind of like this situation right here. So I got some cubes out. And you guys remember that our addition problems that we've been doing, the plus problems, are problems where we put 2 numbers, we take 2 numbers and we put them together. So subtraction is going to be the opposite of that. So it's going to be taking a big number and taking it apart into two smaller numbers. So to show you that, I got out my little cubes here. So here is our addition problem. I'm going to count these out for you so you guys can see what two numbers I'm putting together. In this stack right here, I have the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this little stack of cubes is 6. It's representing the number 6. This one right here has got 1, 2, 3, 4 in it. So my two numbers are 6 plus 4. If I put those together, what do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my answer to that problem, 6 plus 4, is 10. Now when we're doing subtraction, we think of it backwards. We think of it like you're starting with your 10 already. Somebody has given you 10 things. And then there's different ways to think about it. Today we're going to talk about just taking them apart. So one way that we can take apart 10 is we can do it in those two numbers that we just added together. I'm going to break that 10 apart right here. And what are the two numbers that I have? Let's see, I took 10, but I took 4 off of it, or took them apart. Now I have 4 and 6 as my numbers. So I'm going to show you guys how that would look on our board here. Here's the original number problem that we did with addition, 6 plus 4. That equaled 10. We put those two together. You guys already know this 6 plus 4 stuff. You know this 6 plus anyway, or the plus. We've been doing addition for a little while. I put them all together. We have our 10. So for our subtraction problem, it's going to use something called a minus sign. A minus sign kind of looks like an addition sign, except for it doesn't have the up and down part. So this particular thing is going to be a different type of problem. This means we're going to be doing takeaway. So for these particular types of problems, we start with the big number. So we kind of start right here. We already know the answer. We're going to start with 10, okay? 10 minus something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 4 off. So there's my 4 again that we used right up here. I took away 4. And now to find our answer, we look at what we have left over. Okay, so for this particular one, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the way we read these problems is 10 minus 4 equals 6. Well, I still use all the same numbers, I just kind of do them in a different order to get this kind of answer. So I start with the answer over here that I got when I was adding those two things together, and I still use all the same numbers. There's a 10 here, there's a 10 here, there's a 4 here, there's a 4 here, there's a 6 here, there's a 6 here. This is why I said these guys are cousins. They're really close. They use all the same numbers. They just do them in a different order. So that's the kind of problems that we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there because I have to grab one thing real quick, and then I'll be right back. All right, so I told you guys that it's kind of like painting a picture in your brain. So we've got all this stuff. We'll get back to this. We're going to keep working on this for a little while. So if it's not immediately like, oh, I see what's happening, don't worry about it. We'll keep working on it. So for this first picture we have right here, we got to listen to the story that it's asking because it kind of tells us what question we're trying to make. Okay? So on this first one, it says, oh, and listen for some number words. Maybe you can figure out some of the things that we're trying to use, some of the numbers. 7 wild birds swimming in a pond. So we check out our picture. I heard a number word when I was saying it. 7 wild birds swimming in a pond, okay? So the number word that I heard was 7. So I know that that's probably going to be one of the numbers that I'm going to use while I'm thinking about trying to figure out what this page wants me to do. 7 wild birds swimming in a pond. 2 are ducks. Can you see the 2 ducks on my picture? Did you hear the number word? I heard the number 2. So I know that 2 is also a very important word. I'm not going to underline it in my book or anything like that because that might stick. But I know that 2 of them are ducks. And then the question of this page is, how many are swans? Okay? So this is where we have to be really careful about what it's asking us. It's saying how many are swans. It doesn't want to know how many are wild birds anymore. It already told us how many there were. It wants us to figure out how many are swans. So to do that, we need to take how many birds we have, and we have 7 of them. So if we have our cubes that are now lost to the sands of time, you probably don't have these cubes at home, but you might have some other counters that you can use. So I pulled out 7 counters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, to represent my birds. I've got 7 birds on this page. 2 of them are ducks. Well, if you're a duck, you can't be a swan. So that kind of tells us which ones we want to take apart. So I've got my big number 7 here. I'm going to take off my 2 ducks. Quack, quack. So these are my 2 ducks. They go quack, 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 and they fly over here. They're out of our way. Whatever I have left over is going to be my answer that I'm trying to find for this page. I've got my 7 birds. I'm going to take away 2 of those because I know 2 of those are ducks. The page told me 2 of them are ducks. And then this will read 7 minus 2 equals blank. And we don't know what blank is yet because we haven't figured out what these are. These are mine. You can count them on the page too. This is our answer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are swans. I know that goes right there in that particular spot. And now it reads 7 minus 2 equals 5. Or 7 wild birds swimming in a pond. 2 of them are ducks. How many are swans? We knew that these couldn't be the swans because they were ducks. So if we do this whole page here, we can count them. There's 2 ducks. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swans here. And if we just want to count the wild birds, just to make sure that we were started with the right number, we count all the birds because these are all birds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means we started with the right number. So for this particular assignment you're going to do, you're going to get a few things to look at, and it's going to tell you how many to take away. So I made a little picture right here. We're going to take away our birds. We're not going to talk about them for the next part. We're going to talk about kites, okay? I drew a couple kites up here on my board. We actually have 5 kites. So I'm going to ask you a little story problem. We're going to try to figure out our 2 numbers here that we're going to take away. We're going to try to figure out what we're putting in these boxes here. So first and foremost, we want to start with how many kites do we have? That's going to be the first thing. So I'm going to tell you a little story. There are 5 blue kites flying in the sky. Okay? So 5 blue kites flying in the sky. We're going to start off with 5. We're lucky people to have 5 kites. 2 of them break in a tree. So they're flying, they get smashed. I'm going to cross them off because they are no longer kites. They are now rubbish because they are destroyed. So that is the number that we're going to break off. We're going to take our 5 kites. Here's my little counters. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the kites. Because I said 2 of them broke off, I'm going to take 1, 2 off. I'll put my 2 right there so I know that I am now taking them apart. And this reads 5 minus 2 equals blank. And then we just look at what we have left to find out how many kites we can still play with. So that way we can just count them. 1, 2, 3. How many kites do you still have? Well, you have 3 kites. I've got 1, 2, 3 counters left over. The way you would read this is 5 minus 2 equals 3. So that is our takeaway problem. So I'm going to come over here. I got to grab a pencil real quick to show you that. So for this particular page, you're gonna see some stuff on here. It says, cross out the numbers shown, then complete the sentence, okay? So you got some pictures here, you've got some numbers, you've got some words that you probably aren't gonna know because they say cross out, which is probably not where we're at on reading yet. So for this first one, it says 8 balls. 8 cross out 1 is blank. So I'm gonna double check, make sure we got 8 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 balls. They went ahead and crossed out 1 for us. And then we just gotta count whatever is left over. That's gonna be our answer to our subtraction problem. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 is our answer in here, okay? For the second one, I'll work this out with you because we don't have anything there. It says 6 books. This is the number we're gonna start with. So this first space right here, we put how many we start with. So this is where our 6 would go. 6 cross out 3 is blank. Well, it tells us to cross out, so here we gotta follow their directions. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3 of them are crossed out. And then whatever is left over will be our answer in this problem. So we count those. 1, 2, 3. 6 cross out 3 is 3. For these, you might need some help with reading these. I'll read them to you if you want to just watch this a couple times. It says 7 eggs. 7 less 6 equals blank. This less right here just means cross out. So 7 eggs cross out 6 equals whatever's left over. 9 balloons. So it's 9 less 4 or cross out 4 equals whatever you have left after you cross out 4 of these. This one says 5 crayons. So 5 will go in here. 5 subtract 5 equals blank. Subtract is another fancy word for saying cross out. Subtract is another way for minus. That's what we're doing. We're doing subtraction. So it's going to be 5 cross out 5 equals blank. So you guys go ahead and fill out this page, see what you know, see if it's making sense for you. We'll come back for this for next lesson. We're going to be talking about subtraction as well. Like I said, this is the next big thing. Like this is the next kindergarten math skill that we're going to be focusing on. I'm very excited. It's very fun to try to figure out what problems are asking you to do and doing that little puzzle for you. I hope you're looking forward to it. I know I am. So I will see you next lesson. Get this one done, take a picture, send it to your teacher so they can see how you're doing. We'll see you next lesson.